Hey,
Hey, how are you? That's good East Tennessee lingo.
that is East Tennessee.
That's true East Tennessee.
How are you?
I've become one of them.
Well, we are. How are you?
I'm good.
Good.
Hey, Jimmy.
Good, yes.
How are you?
I am doing fine.
We got out of sync, not out of the sink,
Yeah. Yeah.
but we got out of sync last week because we didn't get to do the world famous Will and.
Jimmy Show.
But you're back tonight, and you know some of you've been fasting for Lent. And maybe it's a good thing we fasted from the Will and Jimmy show
Maybe.
for a week.
Yeah, we just needed.
We
Everybody
needed a
needs
break. Yeah, we did.
Everybody.
Anyway, this is Pastor Will
Jimmy.
and we're here with the world famous Will and
Jimmy Show.
beautiful and getting more beautiful all the time, Studio Michelle.
Yes, it is.
Wouldn't she be
Yeah.
pleased looking in here right now?
Well, she commented.
Did she?
About it, about
Yeah.
how much she liked it.
All right.
So this is just our second time being
Yeah,
in here.
that's right.
And because we did miss a week.
Yeah.
But she did comment on it and talked about how beautiful it was. But still, there's only a bit of it that you can see on the camera.
Yeah, that's
There's
right.
a lot more to it than this.
Yeah.
And this is going to be a multi-purpose room. For instance, earlier today, we used it for our free hearing screening.
Okay, I didn't realize we had that today.
Yeah, that was this morning.
That was going on here
Well,
today?
it's actually Wednesday morning.
Oh,
We're-
yeah.
We're at the
Oh.
wrong time.
Oh my
I was
goodness.
trying to be correct. So
Yeah, well, we're here on Tuesday, and I thought, man, I know it's been busy here today, but I couldn't think I missed that. Okay.
So, real time.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, today.
Well, you all know we record anyway, right?
Yeah. So that's Wednesday morning. So, so
I wasn't here.
That's right. Evidently not. But that was rescheduled
Okay, yeah.
from last month
From
because we had
another
some
time.
snow.
That's right.
So
Well, I hope we did well on that today.
I hope so too.
Yeah.
We'll let you
In
know.
retrospect,
We'll let you
speaking
know.
about redaction and all that.
Yeah.
Jimmy's able to edit and redact and delete and just make everything look so good.
I try to leave it as real as we can, but
Yeah.
sometimes we, patch a few little things that you never know
Yeah,
about
that's right.
unless you're here in person.
That's exactly right.
And we can tell you some of that about this
Yeah.
last Saturday.
Go ahead.
Friday afternoon, I was, we were still on vacation, but I had to come in for a bit to do the slides and stuff to get everything prepared for Saturday morning. And there was a lot going on at the time, and I messed up. I did Luke chapter 4 instead of Luke 13. And I could tell on your face when you looked up at the screen, I knew exactly right then what I had done. But if you watched it on Sunday, you didn't know that happened.
Nope. That's right.
It just flowed.
It flowed.
Right.
See, we can take out all the boo-boos.
Right. So,
That's what God does. He takes away all of our boo-boos,
He does.
covers them over, and throws them into the sea of forgetfulness.
and you never even know
Yeah.
that happened.
No, that's right.
Right.
Well, we had a busy day here. Speaking of Tuesday,
Yes.
we had a wonderful group from Jonesville, Virginia, First United Methodist Church. And they're about an hour away in driving time over the mountain, right on the Kentucky border. But they were here with us today and on
and,
Tuesday.
and we'll have a special
We're going to
guest
have a very special guest
coming
here in a
up
few
from that
minutes.
group here
Yes.
in just a few.
Yes,
so
we will.
You don't want to miss that.
We'll hold you in suspense a little bit longer. And then, and today, which is Wednesday, today really is Wednesday, we have the Ketron Memorial Methodist Church. Aren't they great people?
They're great.
They're just good folks.
Yes.
And I always look forward to seeing their pastor and all of them. And they're providing the meals for today, which is Wednesday. Of course, our people serve them, but they always bring
And
them.
they're very faithful
Yes,
each month.
they are.
And not only do they do that, they also help us with whatever needs we
Yeah,
may have.
they
whether
do.
it be soap, shampoo, underwear.
They said, just
socks,
give us a call and we'll,
And, they
and
do
that's good.
they
And
do a lot.
we appreciate Ketron Memorial Methodist Church right there in Lynn Garden.
Yes. Been to
Okay.
many yard sales
Have you?
in that building.
Yeah,
Sure
okay.
have.
So it has been busy. We were off for a week. I was off to Pennsylvania. Quick trip, just in a limited time. But I think if I had been sitting home every day, it would have been quick.
It was very.
I mean, it just seemed like
Yeah.
we took a breath and we're back
Yeah.
again.
Yeah.
And it hardly feels like we've been off, really.
Well, it's been a while since
Yeah.
we've taken a break.
Yeah.
What, September?
September, I believe. Yeah.
And
We try to do that twice a year.
we've had a lot going on since
Yes.
September.
Yeah.
We really have. Our workload has really picked up, all of us.
In so many ways, some of which we won't discuss here.
Yeah.
But it's just been a lot of changes.
So by the time, that Sunday's kind of our normal day off, so I didn't really feel like I was on vacation. But then Monday, I was so tired I didn't move. Like Monday and Tuesday, I really didn't do anything.
Well, I sat in the car, drove all the way to Pennsylvania, and when I got there, it's like I'm in the motel room and it's 8 o'clock, and I said, I'm gone. And
Yeah.
I pulled those big black curtains on the window in that Best Western Hotel. Is that what they call it?
Best Western, yeah. Yeah.
Is that no? Wait a minute. That was no. It wasn't. That's a restaurant, isn't it?
No, Best Western's a
No, I don't know why I say this. It's the Holiday Inn Express.
Holiday Inn.
And
yeah.
I'm supposed to
Yeah.
be smarter by doing that.
Yeah, well, that didn't work
It
out.
didn't work. It was a Holiday Inn Express. Anyway, doesn't matter. I hit the bed at 8 o'clock and I slept for 12 hours.
Mm-hmm.
I was so worn out.
There's something about, for me, sleeping in a hotel room and those curtains you talk
Yeah,
about,
yeah.
and then the summertime you turn on that air conditioner and it's really loud.
Yeah. Mhm.
That sound, I like the sound. That
Yeah.
really helps me sleep. Man, I'm getting sleepy just talking.
Yeah,
about
believe it or not, in Pennsylvania a week ago on Monday, it was in the 70s.
Mhm.
Beautiful day.
It was
I was
very nice.
surprised to see some of the daffodils and flowers up like this. So, it all depends on what part of the state you're in, but I was surprised some of the things were further along than they were here in the mountains.
Yeah, we don't have much, or at least in my area, not much at all this
Yeah.
year. The trees are just starting to
The
fall down a
forsythia
little
have
bit.
just kind of burst out this week.
Mhm.
It seemed like everything has kind of just
Yeah,
exploded.
all at once.
And of course, spring is coming up this week.
That's tomorrow.
It is on Thursday.
Thursday, yes.
So, right on time, Mother Nature is on the job.
I think it hit on Wednesday last week almost 80 degrees.
Yeah.
And I was out cleaning up in the yard doing some things. Actually got a little bit of a sunburn, because this time of year you have to be careful.
Yes.
The sun is so close to
That
the
is
earth,
right.
you can really get a very, very, very quick
Yes, you can.
sunburn. But a lot of wind here too.
Yes, you can.
The last
Yeah,
couple
that's
of
right.
days,
Yeah.
and stormy weather all around us. And I think this weekend we really escaped some nasty stuff
Right.
because it was all around us.
Oh, it was
A lot
all
of
around us.
damage. Mhm.
And we only had less than a half inch of rain
Oh, yeah.
and very little wind that I saw. So we were blessed, and we were fortunate. I should say the scripture says the rain falls on the just and the unjust.
It is.
And I'm not sure we're all just, but the Lord blessed us anyway, right?
Yes, he does.
I mean, sinner and saint alike.
Right. That's us.
Yep.
But
So-
but it was good. But always though, it's good for everything to take a break.
Yes.
No matter what you do, everybody needs
Yes.
a break. Our
Yes.
volunteers took a good break.
Yes.
The building
Yes.
had a
Yes.
break. Got to rest. But it's always good
Yeah.
to come back.
Yeah.
Come Sunday evening, I've really started to plan up Monday.
Yeah.
And Monday morning, I was ready to come
Ready
back.
to roll.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ready to come back.
Well, I was ready to come back to,
You worry about your friends,
The folks,
the folks
yeah.
that come here. And we had several while we were on vacation that were really suffering with some illnesses.
yes.
And
Unfortunately,
yeah,
we received news this morning. Now, this is Tuesday.
Mhm.
Our friend Helen Carson, which all of the folks around here know her, she and her son John have been living in the streets for quite some time. And she developed an illness and she passed away earlier today. And I prayed with her on Saturday after church. And she told me, Pastor Will, it's okay, I'm going to rest.
she's at
And
rest.
I can't imagine, living in the streets, the hard life. I believe she is at rest. We need to remember her son, John.
He's
because-
broken.
Yeah, he's a
today.
broken young man. John's not that old. I mean, he's what, maybe 40,
Maybe.
30s,
Yeah.
40, I don't
Yeah.
know. But he and his mom were both together, a support system in the street. So we need to remember them. And then you had a couple of other calls. You had a call as we were leaving yesterday about another tragic death
Very tragic.
and a family hoping to see if we could do a memorial service here for them.
Yes.
Somehow we'd
Yeah.
done a service for someone they knew.
About 5 or 6 years ago,
Yeah.
we did a service for the gentleman who passed away for his mother.
Okay.
I think almost 6 years ago is
Right.
what that was. And then we had another call today
Yes.
about someone that's in need of some assistance and needs a place to have a memorial service, and that doesn't include talking about Helen,
Yes.
because that'll be coming up too.
Yes.
So I think we'll have several services here, but I'm thankful to do that
I am too.
because I don't know. We've talked about having the funeral home Trinity come here to Shades of Grace and talk about planning,
Right.
and it's much more affordable than people really think.
Yes, it
is.
is.
I mean, it's very affordable. There's different plans that you can do, but we see it so much. I can't stress enough how important it is. There's only one certain thing that's going to happen in your life,
That's it.
and you're going to die.
That's right.
I mean, that's the truth of it. And just be prepared so that because the burden is already tough enough with the loss,
Right.
then having to just scrounge at the last few minutes to plan everything, get the finances in order. It's very important to go ahead and take care of
And
that.
it's good for us all to make our wishes known of what we think would be satisfactory, so that when the time comes, someone else doesn't have to have that burden. So we've been thinking about doing something like that, like just a session of maybe a couple of seminars, and who else we were going to try to maybe get someone else involved in that,
Yes.
and so people would know how to plan, and like I know the one situation today was a very tragic situation that has come up, and we won't go into any of those details, but people just don't know where to turn and what to do in a time like that. So how many of you think that would be helpful to you if we were to do some kind of a pre-planning type situation for final expenses? I mean, these are things we don't like to talk about, but like Jimmy said, it's one appointment we're not going to evade.
Right.
We're not gonna
Right.
we're not gonna delay that one.
And the stresses of no plan, no financial plan,
Right.
takes away from the grieving process
Right, it
and
does.
just makes it even harder than it
Right.
has to be. And I know that, like, I have known people who have pre-planned their funeral and prepaid it and made monthly payments. And like I said, it's really
Right,
affordable.
right.
It can fit into literally any
Yeah.
budget, and it would just save so much
Yeah.
just stress and added grief in this time.
Yes.
But these have been some very tragic situations.
Yes.
Uh,
Unexpected.
very unexpected.
At least two of them.
And there's families involved, there's children involved, there's
Yeah.
spouses involved,
And
it's
we
hard.
seem to hear about them all, don't we? I mean, somehow people say, they told me to call you.
Yeah.
We still don't know who they are, but
Yeah.
we talk about that a lot. They tell us to call you, that maybe you could help us.
And one of the families yesterday I was talking to, we spent probably 45 minutes,
Yeah.
maybe an hour on the phone, just discussing all the details. And at the end of the call, she said, "Thank you for just listening.
So I just
Thank you
needed
for
someone
giving me
to talk
somebody to talk to."
Mhm.
She said, "It's not, trying to get me to do this way and this way. I just need."
And she was not
somebody to listen."
asking for money.
Mhm.
She was paying
Yeah.
for all of it, but she just wanted us a place to do the service. And a lot of people consider us their church. I mean,
Mhm.
I was talking with a pastor earlier today. We get it all wrong, and sometimes we think of church as what's happened for an hour a week inside a building, when really we are the church called to be out in the world among the people.
Right.
And it's what goes on those other 6 days, throughout the days and hours, that the church is really doing its
And
work.
today the group that was with us today, this was the first time they've been here, at least in a very good
Right.
while since the pandemic and the way that we do things now. And I talked to several of them right before they left, and they were just telling me, that wow, we didn't realize, and you don't realize unless you're here.
Mhm.
And today, for a Tuesday, was a relatively calm
Yeah.
Tuesday.
Right.
I have some theories on why, but I won't get into that.
Yeah.
We'll just keep that under
I
the
think
rug.
I
And,
would probably
yeah,
guess that one too.
but a lot of our unhoused community, a lot of our friends are kind of laying low.
That's right.
Now and
Yeah.
just staying off the grid. In fear, but that's all I'll say. But,
Yeah.
but it was usually, because on Tuesdays we have our bag meals, our emergency clothing closet is open, our women's showers are
And the
open,
men's showers.
and the men's showers. So it's normally a very, very busy
Yeah.
day. It was still busy, but it wasn't like normal.
Well, there's some things, we keep quiet, and some things we need to speak up about when it comes to matters of justice and injustice. And I'm just about this close to stirring up another hornet's nest.
Wow.
It's just,
We-
I'll leave it at
Yeah.
that.
Well, we try not to, but sometimes things need to be known.
Yeah,
People need to understand what the homeless people actually go through, the
right.
things they experience. I mean, you can imagine, or try to imagine how hard it is just living on the street,
Yeah,
having to go from place to place, from meal to meal, finding a place to have the shower, have clothing. All your needs depend on someone else,
right.
and that's got to be hard.
Right.
But this just adds to that,
Yeah,
and it's
the humiliation. Well, I'm just going to go ahead and say it a little bit.
go for it.
I drove up on Monday morning. We'd been on vacation, gone for the week to get away from all the stress and all of this. And as I drove past I always park behind the building. As I drove by, here was a police car with the lights flashing. And you could see a lady, we didn't know who, someone was rolled up in a blanket, lying at our doors on our property, not impeding any sidewalk or public way, laying in the alcove at our doors. And the police officer was taking photographs of her. And then another police officer car arrived with the lights flashing. And he knocked on the door and he said, "Does this person have permission to be here?" And I said, "Absolutely. We pay rent on this. We own this. This is our property," and all the above reasons that I just mentioned. And I said, as long as they don't create a problem or leave a mess, and they take their things with them, and they understand that, take the stuff with you, because when you leave a mess, then you're not going to be coming back to benefit from Shades for a while. You're going to have to take a vacation, and they know that. So we try to exercise tough love, but there's some other things going on the street that seem to be
Well,
overlooked.
let me add something to what
Yeah.
this lady that you were talking about. We've known her for years, and
Yeah.
from time to time we may have a little issue with her, but it goes back to that halt, the hungry, angry,
Right.
lonely, and tired.
Right.
I think that's just because I've talked to her before, and she would get to be real agitated and,
Yes.
and angry, and then you just talk to her like we're sitting here talking right now. She calms down and she'll say, "Lord, I'm just tired,"
Yeah.
or I just need this. But anyway, I'll tell you something I picked up on the camera, and I haven't told you this, about yesterday morning.
Okay.
I went back and watched, and I have audio of that
Yes.
part. And he walked up, and the officer was not rude to her, but he said, you're going to need to go. And she said, no. She said, Jimmy told me I could stay here. I'm not causing any problems. And he kind of smirked and said, well, we'll just go talk to Jimmy then. Thinking he was going to come in and I was going to say...
And it was me he
but
talked to because you were
I
late.
wasn't here, yeah.
You were late
And,
coming in.
and just thinking we're going to say, no, she can't stay here. And I think that kind of caught him off guard, probably, that we said, yes, she can. And there was one night a few weeks ago, she doesn't stay here every night, maybe 2 or 3 nights a week. And it's usually just her, but on the camera, she was struggling.
Mm-hmm.
She was very angry, and she was getting kind of loud. And I knew that, and it was way up in the night. And I knew that eventually, if she was that loud, somebody would drive by and call the police. So I got on, I can talk through the thing, and I called her name. And I said, you're fine to stay there where you are, but I said, you probably need to calm down a little bit. because somebody, and she said, yeah, I know, I'm sorry, thank you, Jimmy, thank you. And she did, she calmed down. And then a few nights later, I was just kind of skimming through, and I watched, and she was standing at the door, and man, this is heartbreaking. She said, she was just kind of talking in the air, and she said, Lord God, let Jimmy be in there. And she was knocking. She needed something, which it was like 3 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
But
these are the things we deal with. And once we get to know these folks, and you go to the hospital and you hold a dear lady's hand who has only got hours left to live, people that has worshiped with us, people that have been here in the services or just in our building to be comforted or to be helped. And when she reached out her hand to me, it just broke my heart for she and her son, because no matter what kind of day she was having, she always had that beautiful red fingernail polish.
Yeah.
Her nails were always pretty, even though her hands could be dirty from living in the streets. But when she reached out her hand, it was like feeling the hand of a farmer that had been farming for 100 years. I mean, just the roughest hands of someone living in the streets. And I said, Miss Helen, are you trusting Jesus? And she smiled and she said, you know, Pastor Will, I have for a long time. And we know that she is an addict and she's had lots of issues, but she loves Jesus. And I don't question her eternity now. I believe she has rest. I think she's where that she wanted to be. But we misjudge people, you know. You just got to take time to know their story and find out that we saw a picture of her we found today from 5 years ago. She was so youthful and beautiful. She wasn't sick. And somewhere at some time, she was a mother who held a little baby. And she was that little baby being held by someone else. So, you know, try to look at people. I've heard Michael at Hunger First often say, humans being human.
right, yeah,
And that's something we're going to have to do better at. Right?
I don't want people looking at me and thinking things that they don't know.
No.
Well, we shouldn't do that to them.
Right, that's exactly
It's the
right.
same. You don't know why they're where they are.
Right.
And I'm telling you, folks, most of these situations, these people did not choose.
They didn't choose
to be
to be.
there.
The
They did
illnesses,
not choose.
a lady just was on the phone here now waiting for something from, I don't know, insurance or...
Like a debit card
Debit
replacement that she continues. She says, I mean, she gets one about once a month.
And she lives in such a delusional state of mind that I overheard her talking to the people on the phone, and she was saying what the FBI is trailing me, and what all was she saying?
And she just that people are stealing from her. She was naming names of people that are robbing her and stealing money from her card. And then she said, they're listening right now. She said, don't you hear them in the background? Can you not hear them?
And there was nobody in the building except
And I
us.
think that finally the company the debit card company hung up on her.
Yeah.
And there was but she does she gets a good amount of money each month because she's shown me, her statement. So it's disability. So she's held a good job at some point.
She has a mental
but the
disability that her mind is broken.
Yeah.
And we see that so much.
Yeah.
The body can break down, but the mind can break down.
It sure can.
None of us,
Sure can.
is exempt from that.
No, it could be us.
We don't know
It
what
could
kind
be
of
us.
tragedies that some of these people have gone through. We don't know.
And you don't know where they were a year ago.
No.
Maybe they had a home.
There's one guy who comes here.
Mm-hmm.
He had you tell him, don't mention any names.
Which one
but
we talking
used
about?
to work at Eastman.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. When I was young, I knew the family in a different town. But he had a job, worked at Eastman, drove a really nice, little Nissan sports car. Beautiful, beautiful home. Probably the prettiest one in the neighborhood. And then there was a marital issue that happened, and he just could not handle it. And he snapped. And
One of the nicest people.
He is. He is the most kind person, and now he's on the streets. His son is on the
His
streets.
son is on the
He's on the
streets as
streets
well.
with
He's
him.
been through a lot of tragedies.
And a lot of, but, they make the best of it.
Yeah,
And they are both of them are kind.
they're very
But
kind.
the father always, he thanks me for everything. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And, sometimes he'll have an odd request for something. Like one day, he was looking for some sunglasses and he said, I'm not trying to be picky. And he said, but it's got to be something that's kind of thick. He said, because I'm rough on sunglasses. And sure enough, I said, well, I don't know if I have any. I opened the drawer, and guess what's laying there? A pair of real thick, black, almost like Ray-Ban looking sunglasses that somebody had donated. And I gave those to him, and he was so thankful.
Yeah,
And he is just one of many.
and always is dressed clean and neat. They do their very best. They take pride in their appearance
Yes.
to be in the streets. They do the best they can.
If you didn't know what we know, you would, and you saw him out somewhere at
You would never
Walmart
know.
or store, you would never know
No.
that he lived on the streets,
Right.
and that at one time had a whole nother life.
Yeah.
Had maybe, I don't want to say had it together, but you know what I mean.
Right.
And that's just it. You just don't know where these folks come from, and then we see a lot of our younger folks
Yeah.
who maybe had. I'm sorry.
That looks like potential spam. Y'all want me to answer it?
Let's try it. Hello.
Hey.
Nothing.
Thank you
It
for
does all the
interrupting
time.
the Will and Jimmy show.
Man, I lost my train of thought. Let's see what was I getting ready to say? We were talking about. Oh, I know what I was going to say. A lot of our young people
Yes.
are on the streets because they suffered with some type of mental disability as a child, and where the parents took care of everything, and then the parents pass away,
Right.
and then they're left.
Right.
And then also another issue is, children who are in like foster care, when they age out
Right.
of foster care at 18, there are literally no programs.
There's no program
or
to catch them.
no majorly known programs
Yeah.
to help with that. So that is a big explanation. How many do we have that we know
Yeah.
of the parents where the parents took care of them, took care of their every need,
And now they're
Because-
60 years old.
yeah, and here they are.
Yeah.
Can't seem to grasp the cycle of life.
Yeah.
But anyway, Pastor Will,
Yeah.
we're going to have to cut it a little. Well, we're about at our time for the day because
Okay.
we've got to make room for a special guest. But I
Yes.
actually have a text that someone is here to meet about a funeral.
Okay.
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 So
Okay.
we need to talk with them.
Well, how long have we been on here, John?
We were about at our time.
We're just about.
Yep. So
Well, how about just give me one
well,
question?
my questions are not Bible questions,
Okay.
tonight, but they're spring questions.
All right.
Okay.
Let's go. Let's go.
And so let's see how many of these you get. I'll go through these real quick, okay? Which bird is most associated with the arrival of spring?
Red-breast robin.
That's it, okay?
When
What?
the red robin come bob. Do you remember that one?
No, I don't know that one.
I bet y'all remember.
I know the Rockin' Robin. Remember that? And Red Robin.
Okay.
Burgers. What is the most common flower associated with spring?
I'd say tulip.
You're close.
Daffodil.
Daffodil. Yep. Here you go. What is the term for baby rabbits that are born in the spring?
Bunnies.
Kittens.
Really?
They're kittens.
I've
Yeah.
never heard that.
Yep.
How many of y'all knew that?
Yep. And which spring vegetable is known for its detoxifying properties?
Spring vegetable. I would
Not
say
something you would really.
scallions or onions.
Well, you're close. I mean that could, but it's asparagus.
Ooh, no.
Yeah.
Ooh. No, you can have that.
And I've got one more. What sport traditionally begins its season in spring?
Baseball.
Baseball.
Yay.
There you go.
All right.
Ended on a happy note.
Yeah.
I don't mean to be,
Well,
but this is the reality.
that's what's
of
on
what-
our
of
plate
What
this
we're dealing
week.
with today.
This week, yeah.
Yep. And
So that's
it's-
you get what we get.
sorry,
Yeah.
But I know that you all enjoy or like to know what goes on here, and this is a big part of it, folks.
Yes.
This is the realness of what happens.
Yes, it is. Yep.
But that's all for us. We have a very special guest.
Special guest?
Yep, we sure do.
Coming right now.
Right now, here you go.
Bye. See you. Okay. Okay, everybody. We told you that we have a very special guest, and I would like to introduce you to Pastor Chase.
Yeah, Chase Krickenberger.
That's why I gave you first name.
Yeah. The last name's awful.
Say it one more time.
Krickenberger.
Krickenberger.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can imagine growing up. My name is Shuey. So
a little bit easier.
Yeah.
It took me a while to learn
Yeah.
how to spell it.
But they always made fun of my, the name, so it's a little different. But anyway, Pastor Chris is the minister at Jonesville United Methodist Church. Is that in Lee County?
It is in Lee County, Virginia.
Lee County, okay. And we welcome you to the world famous Will and you're supposed to say Jimmy show.
Jimmy Show.
There we go.
Will and Jimmy Show.
There we go. So anyway, Chase is here today with some of his congregational members. How many did you bring today?
We brought 10 today.
10 people.
Which is great. We worship about 40, so that's
Okay.
25% engagement.
25% of the congregation. Okay. And you told me that you came in because you've got some folks in Johnson City that are ill. And
Yeah.
so you're kind of doubling up. That's a pretty good drive from Jonesville.
It is. It's an hour. And Lee County, we come to Kingsport a lot because this is our closest town, but it is about an hour.
You can't get there from here.
Yeah, that's right.
Right.
That's right.
So Lee County is really, does Kentucky join part of your county?
We border Kentucky,
Yes, okay.
the whole length, all the way down. Middlesboro is right on the other side of the state line at the end of the county.
All right. I've been there quite a few times, and I do know where your congregation is. I've never been there. But
Okay, yeah, but you know
I
where
have been
Jonesville
at the camp meeting.
is. Okay, yeah.
I preached there a couple of times.
Yeah.
So, Chase, excuse me, we're in this new building. This is our second time, as you know. Oscar was with us last time. We still got the new smell in there, the sawdust and the lumber.
I like the smell.
Yeah, I like the smell,
Yeah.
but it kind of doesn't like me.
Yeah.
So it gives me a little bit of a congestion there. But Chase, you've been at Jonesville. Is that First United or just Jonesville?
It's First United Methodist
First
Church
United.
of Jonesville. Yeah.
Okay.
I've been there for 8 months, and before that, I served for 3 years as the associate at Fountain City United Methodist Church in Knoxville.
And that's in the inner city.
Yeah, well, it's becoming the inner city.
Okay.
It was not a few years ago, and now it kind of
Okay.
is becoming. Knoxville's expanding really
Sure.
fast, and
Right. Okay.
yeah, it functionally is.
I go to Knoxville only when I must.
and I loved living there.
Yeah.
But if you had asked me before I lived there if I'd go to Knoxville, it was only if I must.
Yeah.
So
Of course, I used to live in the inner city of Miami years ago. But now when I go back, everything has been swallowed up
yeah.
that I knew, and it's all so different. But anyway, so you've been at Jonesville First United Methodist for about 8 months.
Yes, 8 months. July 1, I started.
Okay.
The appointment came.
And you have some gracious people who are here today. Lovely folks.
They're wonderful, and they do everything they can to help as many people in the community as they can, but they also love to get out.
They like Jerusalem, but they're coming to Judea.
That's exactly right.
Or they're coming to Samaria.
Samaria today.
But
that's right.
Anyway, I think we're going to be seeing you all a whole lot more.
Yeah,
I really do.
I think so too, and I think they want to work with Shades of Grace as much as they can.
Right.
Because even though we're an hour away, this is part of our ecosystem.
Yes, it is.
And it really makes a big impact.
Mm-hmm.
And it trickles down to Lee County, but it also gives us, I think, a really good basis of ideas for how we can also take a similar mission and impact Lee County. They're already so generous. We feed 40 families in the local school system through a backpack program. But there's also more we can do hands-on and direct.
Sure.
And I think this gave us some good
And this may
ideas.
just kind of evolve into some memories of what has happened here.
Exactly.
When we began here a little over 10 years ago, we didn't really have a vision statement. We had the mission statement of the conference. You remember what that is? Making
disciples for the transformation of the world.
You got it.
Okay.
You got it.
I didn't know if you meant conference, or the entire Methodist Church. But
I don't know. I just know that all around here that was the mission.
yeah,
statement.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure if it's in other conferences. But
Yeah, that's the denominational one. Although the conference just made another mission
Oh,
statement.
okay. What is it? Do you know?
I don't tell the bishop. I have no idea.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well,
but-
but I do like our bishop.
yeah, I do too.
think
She's great.
fantastic.
She is great.
Yeah. So when we first opened here, like I told someone, we had the call of God. I knew that God was saying, do this. But we were really ill prepared once the doors were open in this place. 200 people showed up the first day.
Wow.
And we started serving meals 3 times a day back in those days.
Yeah.
And I was talking with you earlier about Jim and Kim Goddard. And Kim was the pastor at Mayfair at the time. And Jim had recently retired, so he was down here. And I'll tell you how it happened. For example, when we began opening that first winter with the snow and the cold weather, Jim was living just a very few blocks away from here. I live in Gray, Tennessee. There was a deep snow. I mean, I couldn't even get here. Even the interstate was closed. And Jim had come downtown, and there were people pressed up against the building to get out of the cold and the snow. And he opened up the building, made a pot of coffee, and our feeding ministry kind of just evolved. And now we're averaging at least 140 meals a day for all those years. Thousands of meals a year. But it all
fantastic.
evolved out of just a need that nobody was meeting.
Yeah.
So even in a small county seat town that's
Yeah.
bordering Kentucky, there has got to be all kinds of opportunities. And you just sometimes look, and sometimes they come without looking.
Yeah, and we absolutely have all sorts of rising needs that
Yes.
honestly our church is doing a great job at addressing, and this is not an attack on other churches. I mean, there are other churches doing a great job as
Sure.
well. Pennington Gap First United
Yes.
Methodist Church does a lot. But then a lot of the other denominations are not wanting to address these issues, and it's really, we've got a sea of problems in Lee County, and it's a beautiful place, and the
It
people
is.
are wonderful, and they take care of each other. But we are one of, if not the poorest counties in the Commonwealth of Virginia, and that comes with its own set of
Sure.
of issues. And I told you earlier, one of the things that happens a lot in my ministry now is being the county seat church across the street from the courthouse. I get a lot of people who just wander into my office and want to talk, and that is a ministry in and of itself.
And isn't it wonderful that you have an open door policy
Yeah.
that people know they can come in? And that doesn't happen just by accident. They have heard somewhere that that's a safe place for me to go.
Yeah, and I try to make it a safe place for everybody. And I think in this, post-disaffiliation world for the United Methodist Church, and I know not everyone watching is United Methodist, but we've been
Right.
through this big, great schism. That's so important,
Yeah.
is that we just need to be a safe place, and we've got to work to rebuild
Sure,
trust in our
that's right.
communities.
Yeah.
And I think part of how we do that is what you're doing here at Shades of
Yeah.
Grace, and taking care of everybody who's in need, and not doing it with the condition of,
Right.
you got to start coming to church here.
Right. Absolutely.
We're just doing it out of the goodness of our. Christ doesn't say do good so the church will grow.
Right.
Christ is
And when we do good, the church is growing.
Right.
Because I think sometimes we have the wrong concept in our minds of what church is.
yeah
I have said to the congregation here many times, if not more than many, that if Jesus were to walk in off the street into some of our churches, would he even understand that it's a church? That it's bearing his name, but is it really doing what he commanded us to do?
yeah
And people always, I had someone text me just 2 days ago and said, how is your kitchen going? And it's a misconception that people think we're just another social agency.
yeah
But primarily we try to emphasize that we are a church doing in the world what Jesus said to do. We don't want to be identified as a soup kitchen.
right
We want to be the church of Jesus.
yeah
And so, but actually, don't you think that is true? When the church is doing what Jesus said, then the people will be recognized as the church.
absolutely. And I think for so long in the church we've emphasized statistical growth first, and I'm not saying that isn't important, but we've emphasized that first. And in doing that, we've put the cart before the horse.
Exactly.
And I think you all get that really well here, and my church I think gets it. It's if you're putting the mission at the front, if you're taking care of the least and the lost, if you're that which you do to the least of my brothers and
Right.
sisters, you do unto me. If you're doing that first, then yeah, the church grows because the reputation is that you are living into a true embodiment of Christ.
Yeah.
Whereas if you're putting the statistics first, they think, well, that's just another church that wants me to come sit in their pews on Sunday.
Exactly. And I think you've hit the nail right on the head. It's like, don't put the cart before the horse.
Yeah.
And we've been good at doing that.
Yeah. And I don't think it's a Methodist problem. I think it's a Christianity problem.
Oh, I do too. Yeah.
I think that's just the way we've been focusing for so long.
Yeah.
And there's a lot to that. I think it's a lot of our not to make it economical, but this capitalist mindset of gain all the time, that we forget that the message of Christianity is not to gain, it's to give.
That's right. Exactly.
It's to give first.
Right.
So.
Okay, to shift gears just a little bit, I heard you mention that you might have a 2-year-old.
I do have a 2-year-old. Her name's Emery.
Emery.
Yes.
Okay.
And she is the light of, she's not quite 2, she's 21 months.
Okay. Going on 14 years.
Yes. She is sassy. I was late this morning to show up and help because I could not get out the door. She was having a temper tantrum. Before I took her to daycare. So.
Okay, so you have one little one, and what is your wife's name?
My wife is Maddie.
Maddie.
Yeah,
Okay.
and Maddie is from Atlanta originally. That's where we met. I was a
You were
seminary student.
Emory, so that's the name of Emory came from Emory University, maybe? Or?
Yeah. Actually, my wife chose the name Emory, but I was at Emory University at the time,
yeah.
and I went to Emory and Henry for
There you go.
undergraduate.
Well, hey, it couldn't be anything but.
Yeah, I told my wife when she chose the name Emory, I said, I went to Emory and Henry for college. I went to Emory University for seminary. And now I'm having a daughter named Emery,
right.
and I didn't say it with this polite of a word, but I said, I can't get the heck away from Emery to save my life. But it's been great. I love my daughter so much.
I'm sure. Well, how does your wife enjoy being the spouse of a pastor? Does she work outside the home, or does she have something to do?
Well, she's working from home right now. She works in marketing. She was a teacher when we were in Knoxville, and kind of with the current state of the world politically, she wanted to get out of teaching. Right. She loved her students, she loved her coworkers, but there's so much pressure. She was an English teacher, so there was just a lot of pressure on English teachers. So she left the classroom, and now she works in marketing. And she likes being a pastor's wife, although, the way we function is that I don't put any expectations on her.
Right.
And I think that's really important, is that she is her own person. And I don't put any pressure on her to be involved. I say, you're as involved as you want to be. This is my career. This is not your career.
The Lord called you to be the pastor.
Absolutely.
And that's good. That's a good working relationship.
Yeah, it's great. And she is involved in the church. Yeah. We both worked in youth ministry a lot.
Well, let me ask you this. Does she play the piano?
She does not play the piano.
Okay.
Yeah. Actually, I love my wife, but she does not have a musical bone in her body. She might be genuinely tone deaf, but I say that with love, and she knows it. That's not.
She may be watching. Hey, and her name is
Maddie.
Maddie. Hey, Maddie.
Hopefully she's not, but I think she'd agree with me. So, but
well, she needs to tune in there every Wednesday night, 8 o'clock.
I will tell her to tune in.
Tell her to tune in tomorrow night,
Absolutely.
8 o'clock.
Absolutely.
Tell her we might be talking about somebody she knows.
Somebody, yeah. Well, I will tell her I'll tell her to be on the lookout for this.
Okay. One other thing I'm interested. Your surname, Krickenberger.
Krickenberger.
What Krickenberger?
Yeah.
Okay. What is the origin of that?
It is a totally made up last name, pretty much. So my family's been in Virginia for over 400 years. On both sides of my family, but my dad's, the Krickenberger side specifically, came later than that. They were American Revolutionary War veterans, but not on the side of the Americans. They were prisoners of war in a camp in Charlottesville, Virginia. And when they escaped, they were afraid of who they called the English, who had kept them prisoner.
Wow.
And they were German mercenaries, the Hessians. And they left the prison and moved into the mountains in Nelson County. And stayed there. Stayed there for a long time, and that's where a lot of my dad's family's from. They live in Middle Tennessee now, but they were from the town of Krukenberg, and none of them had last names, and they were starting new in a foreign country. So they named themselves Krukenbergers, and then the British turned it into Krickenberger because we couldn't, we're from the mountains, we can't pronounce things well, so it was Krickenberger. Is what it turned into.
That's cute. That's fascinating. So you have to know a good bit about American history
Yeah.
and Virginia
yeah.
history and all of that just by virtue of your name alone.
That's right, and the fact that my family has never left. So
Right.
that's I joke around all the time that I never dated in my hometown because it was a good chance they were my cousins. So I went out of state for a wife.
All right. Well, that's good. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay. Well, let's see. Is there anything else you would like to talk about today, or thing you'd like the folks to know? Because we have viewers, Chase, from we have faithful members in Canada who view us.
Great.
We have people from at least 20 states
Wow.
who view, and in foreign countries, believe it or not.
Wow. That's fantastic.
So we have people from all over. And how about I ask some of you, just type in right now. Maybe you've been viewing some of our services or the Wednesday night Will and Jimmy show, and let us know where you are, at least statewide or country. Let us know where you are. Maybe we don't know you, and we'd like to know you.
Yeah. And I think my message for people right now is kind of the same. It's that, this is not a partisan statement. We're living in really tumultuous times.
Yes, we are.
And there is a lot of chaos. And I'll be honest, we're feeling the brunt of it in Lee County with free and reduced lunch and having a lot of farmers. And, I think the message is, as Christians, we're called to be, it comes from the lectionary reading from this past week, our citizenship is in heaven.
Yeah.
And that's where my hope lies right now.
Absolutely.
And I think that's where the unity of the church is going to be found.
Yes.
We can't trust our world leaders to save us.
Right. That's it.
And that's the message I think we're all trying to
you.
preach
That's
right now.
Such a timely message. And these are difficult days. And 5 years ago, the pandemic brought a terrific change.
Yeah.
And then coming out of that, rebuilding through the post-disaffiliation of lots of congregations, a lot of people kind of fell away from church attendance and started doing virtual church. And I thank God for every one of you. And some of you live so far away you couldn't come to Shades of Grace if you wanted to without making a large trip.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we're so thankful. We're living in the best days of the world, even though it's probably the most challenging times. We've never lived in a better time. As John Wesley says, the world is my parish.
Absolutely.
And thankfully, through what you're doing, what we're doing, what social media is allowing us to do, I'm very grateful.
Yeah.
We couldn't live in a better day.
Absolutely. And I'm grateful for you and how you're using
thank
this
you.
moment to address
Thank you so much.
those concerns. So,
Well, thank you. And likewise with you.
thanks.
So it's been a pleasure to have you with us.
Thank you for
here
having me.
on the Will and Jimmy Show. And we hope you'll let your folks know. We're recording this on Tuesday. So you've still got 24, 30 hours
That's right.
to tell your people, either be busy shopping somewhere so you don't see it, or be sure
tune
and stay
in.
home and tune in.
Exactly.
But the one good thing about it, wherever they are, they can look us up on their phone.
That's exactly. So shopping's not an excuse.
No,
you
it's
heard
not.
that from me.
Right, there you
That's-
go. So just tune in to the Shades of Grace page and you'll see the Will and Jimmy Show.
Sounds good.
All right, Chase Krickenberger.
Yes.
Did I get it?
Yep.
All
you
right.
got it right. Thank
All
you.
right.
Thank you.
God bless all of you. Chase, would you offer a prayer for all of our virtual congregation
Absolutely.
tonight?
If y'all will bow your heads with me. Almighty God, we give you thanks for the blessings you pour in our lives in the midst of the chaos. That there are communities like Shades of Grace that are putting the horse before the cart and knowing that we are called to serve first and grow second. We are called to pour out of ourselves before we pour in. And I give thanks for that witness and the faithful witness of communities across the world, across the United States, across Tennessee and Virginia that are living into that promise. I also give you thanks for all those who are viewing this, and I know we all pray for a world that ever resembles the kingdom, and we live in that hope, and it is only us who can be the hands and feet of Christ and make that a present reality and a reality to come. So empower us by your Holy Spirit to go out into this world this week, to change lives and to make disciples so that all may know the truth and the love of Christ in a time where there's only chaos. Amen.
Amen. So again, thank you, friends, for joining us tonight for the world famous Will and
Jimmy show.
I got
Got
it.
that time.
Good night, everybody. God bless you.
God
Till we
bless.
meet again. See you in church on Saturday morning. Music starts at 10. Worship at 10:30. I hope to see you here. Come as you are.
Fantastic.
Good night.
Good night.